Hey everyone, Matt Pisarcik from RazorEmporium.com coming at you today for a quick tutorial looking at the difference between mugs and scuttles. Well, in a recent video, we explored an entire collection from a 4th generation barber all about his shaving mugs from all over the world, and they were so cool. We made a lot of comments and questions, and so we thought we'd make a quick little video that kind of addressed some of that. So, you guys should know the difference between shaving mugs and shaving scuttles, and of course we are going to start with the shaving mug. All right, so there's shaving bowls, a little more shallow, and then shaving mugs, a little bit bigger and deeper, right? Now this was one of the ones from John's collection that says Castro, and it very well could be Fidel Castro's possibly, or it could just be a very common last name of Castro. And there's this guy out here, and it looks like he's roping a cow or bull out here. So pretty cool, picturesque scene. But as you know, with a shaving mug, you're going to drop a puck. I have a giant kind of malformed piece of soap here that's going to be our sample soap. And you can see I now have this big hunk of soap down at the bottom of my mug. Now over time, that soap will kind of cement itself down there and kind of stop moving around. So at first it may kind of be a little precarious. As you go to make your lather, you're always gonna hear the clink, but it's probably going to rotate on you a little bit. That's okay. You still will get lather built up on your brush. Like I said, over time, just let it sit, drain out the excess. So after you're done, you're gonna have some excess water, right? You can always drain that out, but let it sit in the bottom of your mug, let it kind of cement, and then that's gonna stop it from moving, and you can really go to town on it and clank away next time it's time to make a shaving lather. But I did want to quickly point out, part of this collection and part of the reason it was so cool was what's called occupational mugs. You may be familiar with like the Old Spice mugs that are really short, or like the Seaforth mugs, but the occupational mugs were like a certain period of time, really Victorian-era, 1890s, 1900s, 1910s. And I even have a really cool book over here, The Vanishing American Barber Shop by Ronald Barlow. And we have a really cool picture here on 100 page 122. If you have this book, you can see all these really cool occupational mugs and names, showing different professions or different patterns, different colors. So there was a lot of different choices out there. And mugs were really popular to be left at the barber shop. And this is kind of, again, part of that whole Victorian era, really before Gillette got its the big start and people were shaving at home. People still went to the barber shop. They would leave their mug at the barber shop. It'd either have their name, their profession, maybe like this, just a really cool artistic scene they liked. And then let's say you're John. John comes in the barber shop and, all right, Frank, yeah, give me a shave today. I got my mug. All right, no problem, John. And Frank grabs it off the wall for you and he gives John a shave. And it's there for you. And it was part of like an effort to keep things hygienic. You knew that this was yours. Maybe you had a chunk of soap that was just yours in the bottom. You're not sharing germs. So it was kind of like this little transitional period of time. But if you go before that, we're actually going to get into the world of scuttles. Now, this was a common comment on our video that I had it wrong, and that these were not actual for shaving. These were what were called a coal scuttle. Now, I looked up a picture of a coal scuttle, and I'm going to respectfully disagree. I believe these are shaving scuttles. Coal scuttles were usually made of metal, and they were not ordained and fancy like this. They were utilitarian. They were plain. They were not ordained. They were meant to transport coal around. Cool. This maybe could transport some coal. You're not going to get a whole lot of coal down in here, guys. You're going to get maybe a lump. This is for hot water. So back to the story I told John, and the story that the YouTube comments hated, because I guess I got halfway through on that short and I didn't finish the story. The whole point of this is you can put that same puck of soap on top, okay, and you're going to put hot water below. Now, back in the day, you didn't have a beautiful running sink in your bathroom. You were boiling water out on the fire, in the kitchen, over the stove, whatever, and then transporting this over to the mirror. You probably have a mirror like this, little shaving setup, little area with your straight razor, and now that hot steamy water was going to go up and help soften up your soap, and you can still go to town making your lather. And when you want to have that lather kind of keep hot, you can put your brush inside. This was like the first attempt at like a pocket edition. If you know Gillette history, this is like a barbershop in your pocket. It's a barbershop in your hand. This and a straight razor, you're ready to go to town. That is a scuttle. Now, scuttles were different sizes, shapes. This is kind of a medium-sized one. I've seen ones even bigger than this. This is kind of a more compact one. You're not going to be able to get a giant lump of soap in this guy. You're going to get maybe, you know, sideways, but really, you guys have heard the phrase to chip off the old block. Really, you're going to go down to the barber shop and you're going to get a big hunk of soap and get a chunk off the old block. And you're going to put that little chunk over here. And that little chunk will last you 3 or 6 months. Or your wonderful wife is using some beef tallow and lard and making soap the old-fashioned way. And she's going to give you that same soap that is used for laundry and cleaning hands. And it's just soap. Soap is soap. Maybe a little bit extra glycerin for dad to make a little slick for him. But that was soap. Okay. And the same idea with this guy. You have a partition over here that's got some holes in it. And you're going to put the hot water down below, and it's going to help soften things up. You can, you know, kind of get kind of a little lather building over here, go to town, and when you want to keep it kind of wet, you got it right over there. That is a scuttle, different sizes and shapes, versus a mug. I think this needs to come back. You know, we're in this age today of people bringing back the past and throwbacks and vintage and revivals. I think the scuttle needs to come back. And if you do want to see the scuttle come back, come shop on our site. We have some of these beautiful pieces of collection left. And I also commented that flowers. I know we think today flowers are what you give your wife when, you know, she's mad at you, or an anniversary or something, Valentine's Day. But back in the day, it's 1897. If you wanted to show off that you're like a manly man, you are putting a flower in your lapel of your jacket in the morning. You know, you're smelling beautiful and clean. Maybe you hadn't had a shower in a couple of days and you need a little extra fragrance here to kind of give the illusion of cleanliness. But flowers were very much a masculine thing. So these are not for girls, or this is a manly thing. Flowers are nature. They're powerful. They got pollen. So that's the history of scuttles and mugs and the differences, and you can see them kind of in use. Maybe next time we do a shave review, I'm going to have to use one of these. We'll get some hot water going instead of cold, and we're going to lather it up. That's all I got. If you've seen a scuttle, if you own one, if you've been out to the antique store, go to the pottery section, check it out. You may find one of these. And that's all I got. Leave a comment below with your favorite one, or if you've used one, or what your occupation would be. I want to hear from you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in today to Razor Emporium for all things vintage shaving.